The news day continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Diego Castro. Here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. The Philippines is the most vulnerable to rising food and energy costs among emerging Asian economies. The country ranks 17th in the Nomura Food Vulnerability Index. This measures a country's exposure to significant fluctuations in food prices. According to Nomura, Philippines is the second largest net food importer in the region and one of the largest net energy importers. They add that food and oil expenses take up about half of the country's total consumption expenditure. Since there are no subsidies in place, rising oil prices result in immediate cost pass-through to consumers. Because of these, Nomura said the Philippine peso is among the most vulnerable currencies. If food and energy prices rose by about 20% by the end of the year, Nomura sees a nearly $18 billion account deficit or 4.1% gross domestic product growth in 2023. The country's economy expanded by 4.3% in the second quarter, the slowest since 2021. Economic managers are still hopeful, though, to post a 6 to 7% growth by year-end if the economy would grow by at least 6.6% in the second half of 2023. Batangas Representative Ralph Recto says that if he were president, he would not choose to lead the Agriculture Department at the same time. Recto explains to Agenda with Cito Beltran that he understands President Bongbong Marcos' need to head the DA. Recto says agriculture is an important sector, especially given that food takes up a big chunk of Filipinos' expenditure. However, he says it would not matter who would lead the DA if problems in the sector are rooted in the structure and system of the sector.
If I were the president, I would not accept, I would not be agriculture secretary concurrently. Nevertheless, to me, kahit sino ilagay mo dyan, if there is a structural systemic problem, the contribution of agriculture to GDP is only 8%. And roughly, a little less than 1/3 of Filipinos are in the agriculture sector. And that's why you have a lot of people who are poor and living below the poverty line. And yet, we do have a lot of hunger as well, right? So I think we have to rethink agriculture.
Recto also says the government must realign some of the funds in the proposed 2024 national budget into productive investments like addressing the classroom shortage and alleviating education woes. The congressman also says the government can stand to reallocate some funds into agriculture and building better roads. To give us his insights on the latest headlines in the agriculture sector, we have with us on the line SINAG Executive Director Jayson Cainglet. Good morning, Sir Jayson. Thank you very much for joining us.
Good morning po, Sir Diego.
Yes, sir, the Department of Agriculture recently admitted a shortage of rice buffer stock in the country. What do you think causes this?
Well, I think it has to be clarified. Ang sinabi ng DA, there is a dismal record ng NFA buffer stock ng rice, which is 1.5 days. But this does not translate to rice shortage. Ang meron tayo is public stock na nasa NFA. But kahit po sa hearing nila kahapon, sinabi ng DA, at its thinnest, meron tayong 44 days buffer stock.
Okay, 44 days. So, sir, talking about the cartel naman, kasi pinag-uusapan din to, mga ibang rice warehouse were recently were padlocked due to suspected hoarding. Do you think nga, totoo nga po na may cartel behind the rising prices of rice?
Yung cartel kasi, we've been hearing that for the past 20 years. Kaya mahirap kasi ang cartel sa isang industriya na maraming players and maraming layers.
Opo.
I mean, if you see the value chain sa rice, ang dami pong kamay na pinanggagalingan. And mahirap i-pinpoint na may isang group lang dyan na nagko-control or nagmamanipulate ang price. It's different compared sa onions. Sa onions talaga makikita mo yung consolidator, yung importer, and cold storage owners. Isang grupo lang yan. Pero po yung isang industry like the rice, mahirap po siyang sabihin may cartel Kasi napakalaki po talaga niya.
Oo nga po. Tapos isa pa naman take po dito galing kay former Agriculture Secretary Manny Piñol na the rice tariffication law daw ang dapat sisihin dito sa mga prices din. Ano po ang comment nyo dito?
We beg to differ kasi po yung rice tariffication hindi naman niya sinabi na mag-unlimited importation
Okay.
ka. Yung rice tariffication hindi rin naman niya pinagbawal na mag-buffer stock ang NFA. Actually, under the RTL, dapat meron siyang at least 10 days lagi. Ang problem, dahil hindi siya namili ng palay, kaya 1.5 days lang ang stocks ng NFA. So,
Okay.
yun ang problem. It's not, I mean, for us, hindi talaga RTL ang problema. It's the way that the officials sa DA and NFA are implementing these rules.
Okay. And regarding naman po yung India further tightening its rice shipments, according to Bloomberg, that the raising costs for importers is due to this. Ano po ang impact nito sa sector sa agri-sector natin, yung ginagawa ng India?
Yung general trend kasi sa global market natin, talagang naghihigpit ang mga rice exporting countries because of yun nga yung taas na kanilang presyo, and then pressure na lumiliit yung production because of itong mga extreme weather conditions.
Okay.
Like ngayon, meron tayong El Nino. Pero specific sa India, maliit lang naman ang ating nakukuhang bigas sa India, less than 5%. Ang kailangan natin bantayan, ang Vietnam and Thailand, if they tighten the supply and increase the price, talagang may hirapan. And well, right now, napakataas na po ng presyo ng bigas sa world market from $400 per metric tons last year. Ngayon, it's hovering between $630 to $680 per metric tons. Talagang ang laki po ng sipa.
Okay. And speaking po of prices, when do you expect this naman to stabilize considering typhoons affecting the farming sector? Now, ngayon na malapit na po ang harvest season natin.
Yeah. Yung etong price tag natin, the past week, sabi natin is very artificial kasi these are old stocks. Nagtataka tayo bakit talagang may pagtaas.
That's right.
Pero we can assume na by October, bababa siya kasi nga, nandiyan na po yung peak ng harvest and traditionally, bumababa talaga siya pag marami ang supply. And even the imports are coming in. Hindi naman puro local lang tayo. Sa statement ng DA, they're expecting 150,000 metric tons na darating just for this month.
So you're clarify ko lang sir, last question. You're saying that yung prices will go back to normal hopefully by October to November during harvest season. Ano pong how much lower will prices go back to? Will it go back po to its old prices?
Ang tingin natin yung presyo between 44 to 46.
44 to 46.
Dapat ganun siya bumagsak. And if it remains higher, yung talagang kailangan na investigate, puntahan ng kung nasa ng bara.
Okay.
Kasi mahirap if you just go to the warehouse, wala ka makikita dyan I mean, alam naman ng DA yung buong structure ng rice industry. They can pinpoint nasan yung bara at nasan yung supply chain na nagtataas. But definitely, hindi po siya sa side ng producers.
Okay. So, sorry po, last na lang po. So, sinasabi natin October, you were expecting the prices to go low to that 40 peso level. If it does not, then may alarm bells na dapat titignan natin kung ano po ang bara na nagkakos nito. Tama po ba yung sinabi nyo?
Yes, tama po. Kasi by October, November, peak harvest, talagang maraming supply at sinisisir ang farm gate mataas ang farm gate niyan because wala pang ani.
Okay.
Yung stocks, nag-uunahan ng mga millers and traders. So we're expecting by October, November, even the farm gate price, bababa from 22 to 25 ulit.
Okay, we'll definitely keep an eye on this situation. But unfortunately, sir, this is all the time we have. Thank you very much for joining us this morning. SINAG Executive Director Jayson Cainglet.
Salamat din po sa mga nakikinig sa kanila.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Diego Castro. The national government's debt payments nearly doubles in the first half of 2023, mainly due to the increase in principal amortization. According to data from the Treasury Bureau, the country's debt payment for the January to June period stood at nearly 908 billion pesos. The latest figure is 98% higher compared to the 458 billion peso debt payment from the January to June period last year. More than two-thirds or nearly 69% of the debt service for the first half of the year went to amortization. RCBC Chief Economist Mike Ricafort said the higher debt service bill was partly due to elevated inflation, which drove up government expenditures. And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Diego Castro. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News. We'll bring you over now to the palace where a press briefing is being held together with the Bureau of Customs.